Koh Phangan story.
You
Two
answer that.
stories that merge into one.
Yeah.
Well, how the island found me, or how I found the island, or how we found each other, was I used to be behind the other side of that lens, breaking the third wall, whoa, and doing this kind of work for yoga schools in Bali. And I was doing some editing in a restaurant. And then I fell asleep, because that's what happens in hot countries when you work in restaurants. And a voice woke me up at 9:30, telling me, you have to go to a different restaurant to eat tonight. And beyond all logic, I was like, no, I'm tired. My brain was like, but my intuition was like, you have to go. So I was like, okay, it was giving me quite a lot of gifts in the past few days, so I decided to trust it. So I show up at this other restaurant. There's one seat available beside this couple. They're a German couple. And by the end of that dinner, I'd been offered a job to come here to Koh Phangan to film their teacher training and do photography. And I never intended on becoming a yoga teacher, but that was my transition point, because when I got to this island, all my electronics broke, and it made me focus directly on the yoga, and then that's where it happened. So the voice called my name when I was in Bali, and then brought me here.
And then you came home to Ireland.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, who the hell tamed Art? I want to see what happened to him in Koh Phangan. So then I went
It
over.
used to be very wild.
Very wild. Yeah.
Now it's controlled
So-
wildness.
Yeah. Just the right amount of wild.
That's it. Like a garden that's been pruned, but it's still allowed to grow. I used it to keep my sanity during college, because I felt awful in my body. Nothing made sense. And then I bought Rodney Yee's AM PM yoga with Patricia Walden. It was power yoga, and then this like soft yoga. And every time I did it afterwards, I was just like, I could feel the sensitivities and subtleties, and I didn't have to work towards the cravings of wanting to get drunk or annihilated or search for other things that I couldn't still in my mind. So it gave me that peace, and then it starts to positively snowball after that.
Yeah. And then mine was, I was suffering from stress-induced insomnia, and hadn't slept in a very long time, and I love to sleep. And I met a woman who she was a yoga teacher, and I didn't know this, and she said, oh, how are you? And I was like, I'm fine. And she just looked at me and she's like, no, how are you? And I never met her, and I was like, I'm terrible. I'm a set of bugs. And she's like, come to my class tomorrow. And I went to the class. It was an hour and a half long, and at the end I went home. As soon as my head hit the pillow, out like a light. And I woke up the next morning kind of like a Disney princess, like where the birds were singing, the sun was shining through, like oh my god. And I was like, what was that magic? And then at that point then I was just absolutely hooked, and then yeah, snowballed from there.
To be open and to have correct intention to why they're there. Everything comes from intention. If somebody goes to a yoga class to try to get a hot fit yoga body for the beach, then sure, they can get that, but like that intention only served them so much. So if they come with something that they're trying to release or bring into their life, that's when they're actually going to get true resonance and potency from it, because they start to search a little bit deeper. And that's why it differs from any other sport, because you don't go into a football game going, I want to release my trauma from my childhood years. So that's the kind of difference in that.
I personally, I think from years of trying at this point, don't believe that you can encourage people to yoga. You know, I think I've tried to force every single one of my family members and all of my friends into yoga, and yeah, for me it's like yoga calls your name before you even know what it is. And there's something that brings you into a class that you end up in Koh Phangan the same way you ended up in Koh Phangan, by a whisper, you know. And yeah, and you know, once you're there, it's very hard not to notice, you know. And some people go to a yoga class before that because they see it, you know, and they're like, oh, let's try this yoga thing, and they're like, oh, I don't get it. But there's something in their body that remembers, and then when they need it in a couple years' time, when they're having, you know, a crisis or just a moment where they can't connect to their body, they find a class, or it finds them, and then that's when they're suddenly come out of shavasana and they're just like, oh, wow, I get it. You know?
It's tropical island with beaches. Number one.
But also there's a huge sense of community here, especially in the yoga community, and you're meeting people who are on very similar journeys to, you know, yourself, where you're looking for a deeper connection with yourself and a deeper connection with the world, and yeah, you're finding that in like the conversations that you have with people here seem to be richer and more like nutrient like deep and
Nourishing.
nourishing, yeah. And I think it's, for me, the community and that's what I think brings people back to this island every single time, you know, is the friends that you meet here, and yeah, how they open your heart, and how your heart is open just from giving yourself space that you don't necessarily have in a city environment, you know, where everything is like go, go, go. Here it's slower. There's a slower pace of life.
Integrate, slow down, and as you say, reach to people, because people back in the West, they go into the yoga mode and they're like, oh great, and then they're straight back into the type A personality on the street, boom, boom. And here you're given the time to actually unwind the tape and let it move into a default state of a slower stillness.
Yeah. And there's time to play, which is always fun. You're in holiday mode, you know, for months.
What's coming to my head is like, stay honest and true to yourself, but that is only good when you know what honest and truth is to yourself. So I guess it goes back to my earlier answer about intention. Know why you're going into something and do everything you do wholeheartedly, because yoga will transpire across all facets of your life. It's not just going to change your physical body and how you feel walking around. It's going to affect your relationships with your parents, with your lovers, with your friends. It's going to affect how you are within any situation that you choose to be in, be it your job or be it anything that requires your attention. So it's there for people as deep as they want to go, but don't kid yourself. And what I mean by that is, like, don't go in there being like, I am enlightened now. It's like, slow down, because it is a slow process to integrate. Because be patient and let the gifts fruitfully come, like a garden coming to bloom.
That's a lot of yoga philosophy for one day.
Well, that's I'm done now. That's it. I'll be patient now.
I mean, something that I discussed with a friend that's really been sticking in my head the last couple of weeks is this idea of who am I and what do I want? And always coming back to this idea of who am I? I'm human, you know, and that what is it to be a human, to be messy and magnificent all at the same time, to, you know, meet your virtues, but then also your faults as well, so that you can capitalize on your virtues and, you know, rectify your faults if they need to be rectified.
And love your faults as well.
Yeah, and allow them space to transform. And you know, what do we want? I think all of us want freedom and want liberation. And what is that but a sense of space? You know, but I think that also comes hand in hand with recognizing that you're at all times on this earth and allowing all of the stuff that's a little bit harsh and abrasive, that friction, you know, to brush past you, because that friction, I said this to you a couple of weeks ago, that friction it articulates like the skin of life. If you didn't have that, you wouldn't be able to feel, you know, grass rub against your shin. You wouldn't be able to feel the comfort in someone else's touch. And so, yeah, to constantly have that. Stop touching me. We're not on camera. But yeah, to be, to have that sense of, at all times, to feel the liberation, the duality between the liberation and the friction, and to accept both, you know, because that's what it is. Because
it transforms your flavors. All of a sudden, pain is pain one day until you know what that pain is, and then it becomes a comfortable place to be, and then you can live and thrive in it.
And always remember to be playful and have fun.
Yeah.
Because if that is not part of your yoga practice, then, you know, you suddenly get the serious yoga faces.
I'm in my asana. I got 7 corks up my arse.
I feel my edgeness so strong. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
a play, because
Play.
that's and
Life
smile.
is a game and
Yeah.
it's a gift and it's there for you to take on.
Yeah, and to radiate that.
So.